Peace to the gods and the goddesses of the nation of the land of all creation. I know you probably like, man, dude, you wearing the same thing as the last video, but I'm busting both of these out at the same time because I told you guys I would. Unfortunately, my last video got deleted yesterday, but I've recorded a new one, and that's going to be coming first, and then now you get in this one. But what I wanted to talk about was disciplining your children. Now, you got some people in the world that's willing to discipline their children with spankings. You got some people that's willing to discipline their child with timeouts. And you got some that's willing to take all of their belongings. Me personally, I choose all three of those. All three of those. Because in no shape or form am I saying that you should just try to mutilely beat your child. That's some heinous, and I mean, you don't have no heart if you do that. To be honest with you, I've spanked my child, and when she cried, I was damn near crying. Because of the simple fact is, that's the last resort for me. I'd rather talk to you and see what the issue is and see can we come to an understanding in order to be able to move past what's going on at that time. No matter what it is, it could be just you too wild at that point in time making too much noise. I'll be like, hey, quiet it down. What's wrong with you? What's going on? Why are you doing this? Because I'm doing this. Okay, you could do that, but just quiet it down a little bit. And that's a perfect way for you to handle with your children. Being able to talk to them and being able to discuss anything with them and not be willing to withhold, your thoughts in scolding them. Because what we are after as children, what is the most thing that we're doing? We're learning. We're seeing all these things for the first time in our lives, and we're learning. We're in new situations every day. From the time you wake up, we are in new situations, even as adults. But as adults, we've repeated some situations. You get what I'm saying? So there's more effort to learn from that situation. But when you're a child, you are just getting the emotions on how to react to certain situations because it's for the first time. Take for instance, a boy and a girl, you know, interacting with each other, they like each other. It's the first time he's ever felt this way. It's the first time she's ever felt this way. So everything is off the spur of the moment. Everything that they're doing at that point in time is at the spur of the moment. When you about 30 years old, shit, you done loved somebody before, so you know the motion. You know what to do. You done probably been in a few relationships, so you know what to do. So we as parents have to realize that everything that a child is going through at that point in time is new for them. You get what I'm saying? Not saying that we they don't we don't repeat ourselves as children as well, as in like, certain bad things that we may do. You might have to tell your child, like, stop doing this about 5 million times before they get it in their head to stop doing that. But the majority of the time, everything that we are experiencing as children is for the first time. So our children are going off the emotion of that first time. And you know what it's like to go off the emotion for the first time. It's no stopping. It's just at that moment, and you react to it at that moment. So we have to be mindful as parents that this is what our kids are going through. Now, you have certain situations with your kids of when they're, being disobedient. Never let your child get too disobedient as in far with their mouth. Always correct them, because and watch what you say around your children as well, because remember, Your children are learning every day. So they're learning from you majority of the time. So how you act is how they will act. So you have to be mindful of what you're saying and doing in front of your children because that influences them to do the same thing. But you also have to scold them when they get out of place. And that means with what they say to you, what they say to other adults, what they say to other people in general. You have to be mindful of these things because you don't want your child to end up in the wrong situation because you have adults out here and kids and people for that matter who react off impulse. As soon as you do something that's foul or they feel that you're violating them, they only retaliate with violence. And it only leads to bad things. So always teach your children on how to talk to adults and people in general. Always have respect. My mother always, she instilled respect in me. I'm talking about yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, thank you, excuse me. When when I was a kid and my mom and it could be my aunt, her friend, whoever, if it was other adults, we had no contact. Once adults came around, we knew go upstairs and play. Goodbye. This is not your crowd. I've noticed that kids today in this era don't have that type of, teaching. So that's another thing. You have to teach your child to be a child. We don't want our children to grow up too fast. That's the last thing that we really want them to do. Don't have your children grow up too fast. Have them be mature, but don't put them in a predicament to where they think that they are on the level of an adult because a child's mind is not stable enough to even handle that. So we have to be mindful of that. When adults are around, children shouldn't be around unless it's a children's event. Child have to stay with child, adults stay with adult. There has to be a line that's drawn between it. We cannot intertwine anything unless the adults are doing things that involves the children. You get what I'm saying? Another thing is, I see a lot of kids out here by themselves, like 6 years old, you by yourself. No, we have to monitor our children. The days of when we was kids and we could be playing on our block and everybody on the block is watching out for each other kids, that is no longer the case. We have to be mindful of our children because they are getting snatched. You've seen what just happened with the 19-year-old girl of the UFC fighter, his daughter, the 19-year-old girl in Alabama. Excuse me because I found her forgot her name, but I pray that they find her. But we have to be mindful of our kids and where they are. We have to keep an eye on our children. We have to because there's too many kids out here that's getting snatched and never returning home. That's not cool. We have to show that type of affection and love. Even if your child, you know how some kids when they grow up, they be like, "Mom, I don't want you, dropping me off to school. Da 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 da. I don't want you following me out here." Listen, I don't care. I want to know everywhere you at. When you touch a new place, I want to know it. And me being the father of, I have a daughter, so I'm gonna be tracking your phone. I'm sorry. I needs to know. I need to know where you are at because if anything happened, I would lose my mind. So we must, as parents, be diligent in knowing the whereabouts of our children. Now, in the case of whooping your children, only whoop your child if you feel that it's necessary, because some kids, a timeout or taking something from them, they don't care about that. They still gonna be spiteful and do things that's gonna anger you and disrespect you. And what, as a parent, you must do, you must demand respect from your children. Before anything, they have to respect you. Because if they don't respect you, you'll be 50 years old or sick or whatever age, you'll be an elderly person in a home with nobody coming to see you. Make sure your kids respect you and love you and respect you, and keys to doing that is being the positive role model that a parent is supposed to be. Show them things, teach them things, talk to them, build that relationship with them, show them positive things. Let them be able to go out in front of, well, my mom graduated from college, she got this degree, she worked here, not in a gloating manner, but in a proud manner, to be like, yes, I have a positive parent that does great for themselves. So always be a positive role model and make sure that your kids respect you, because you don't want to be one of those parents getting beat up by their kids when they're old, or getting shipped off somewhere to where nobody's sitting, you're alone and you have to just sit in a room all day. It's too many elderly people that's going through that, and it's too many children disrespecting their parents, and that's not cool. So if you have to, what they said, it's to spare the rod, whatever they say. Don't spare the rod. Don't physically beat your child or be out in the street with your child throwing the five like, yo, what's popping? What you no. But spank your child in order for them to know that, listen, this is what I would tolerate and this is what I won't tolerate. You're gonna have to respect that. You get what I'm saying? Demand respect from your children. My mom whooped me, and I respect my mom for it, because I came to realize when I was an adult, everything that she whooped me for, it was technically my fault. I did it. Occasionally, I got in trouble for things that I didn't do, but the majority of the time, 99% of the time, I was the culprit. And I did it. And I was a bad child. I wasn't disrespectful to my mom, but I was a child who got in trouble out in the streets. Once I start drifting, I start drifting. So I know what it's like. And I experienced my traits that I had as a child in my children. You get what I'm saying? So I'll try to stop that because I already know what that's going to lead to. You get what I'm saying? Because my mom always warned me. She was like, "You gonna tell your kids the same thing. When you get older, everything that I'm telling you now, you gonna have to tell your kids the same thing." And she was right. And she was right. But that's what I'll end it off at right now for y'all people, man. Everybody stay blessed and take heed to what I'm saying. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification button, and we out. Peace to the guys and the goddesses of the nation, of the land, and of all creation.